also held captive, but my ordeal was at the hands of the Taliban, while she was held by the Americans. I've made this journey many times now, but the dramatic landscape still catches my breath on the road to Kabul. But today the route is lined with burned-out oil tankers, easy targets of Taliban fighters determined to cut NATO fuel supplies. The pock-marked roads have gone and fresh tarmac cuts the journey time in half. I wonder what other changes have been made as we arrive in Kabul. So this is the new shopping face of Kabul. It's like a Western shopping mall. It's all very sterile. I mean, to me, it's a diluting of the culture. Babylon, PlayStation games, CSI, all the top DVDs and videos, Pirates of the Caribbean.
More than porn.
Oh gosh, You know, Mullah Omar hated coming to Kabul. He called Kabul Sin City. I don't know what he'd make of this now. This is what's missing in the shopping centre. You see, you get the smells and the aromas and of a market. Now, I've had something made with this. This is delicious when it's cooked and used bread to, I'm sure it's these beans. The herbs and spices. Oh, I wish we had smell vision on TV, because the smell and aromas coming up from these spices are really wonderful. I've sent a request to the press officer in Bagram requesting permission to interview him and or his senior officers. I've told them we're now in Kabul. They've previously refused, but I've said that we have new information and it would be in their interests to give us an interview. But obviously we're trying to gather more and more evidence to put before them in the event that they do let us through the gates of Bagram. Time and again, stories from Pakistan emerged about children being caught up in the war on terror as their parents were arrested in raids on their homes. Their fate, according to some, was to be dumped in Afghan orphanages. I went to one orphanage to try and establish if this rumour was based on fact.
اون اطفالی که اونا والدینشان یا خانوادهشان اونا طبیعت خارج دارن و اتباع خارجی هستن و به اساس بعضی روابطی یا مروادات سیاسی که از طرف نیروهای به اصطلاح ائتلاف اونا دستگیر شدن و با گوانتانامو برده شدن اطفالشون در پرورشگاه ما تا هنوز دیدن نشدن.
He seemed sure of his facts, but I still wasn't convinced. The senior Pakistan government official I had spoken to was adamant the rumours were true. That account was indeed corroborated by an NGO worker who spoke on condition of complete anonymity. She said she had come across some English and Arabic-speaking children in institutions in Afghanistan.
اگرم در بعضی مؤسسات خارجی که پرورشگاهی در بعضی ولایت ایجاد کرده شاید اونا را جذب کرده باشن، مگر تا هنوز برای ما همچو ارقام و همچو احصایه و راپوری برای ما داده نشده.
What is your name?
My name is Naveed.
Naveed. MashaAllah. And what is your name? I wondered if any one of these young boys really knew his origins, and I'm sure the case of Pakistan's missing children will not go away. But one thing is sure, we know some children have gone missing. Can we trust the Afghan government's account? And if so, just where are the lost children? A lot of people in Pakistan are convinced prisoner 650 is Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, not least of all because of the conflicting accounts over her dramatic arrest and shooting at the hands of the US military. While many conspiracy theorists are convinced she is 650, I'm not. But in order to discount it, I have to go to Ghazni to speak to those who witnessed her shooting. There could be all sorts of people on this route. Afghans, Brits, Americans, Taliban, and then there are also the freelance robbers as well. So it's going to be quite a hazardous trip. And we know this because our original driver pulled out this morning. He said it was too risky to take this journey. But this journey to Ghazni is actually an integral part of our search for prisoner 650, so we don't really have a choice, it has to be done. As the miles passed and the carnage increased, it was becoming quite evident that this journey would prove to be our most challenging so far.
All the civilian cars just cross between the fighting.
But despite the warning signs, none of us were quite prepared for what happened next. There's obviously something going on, loads of military presence. And we've got into a big convoy with a lot of oil tankers, prime targets for the Taliban. This has not been lost on our driver, who obviously wants to get past this convoy as quickly as he possibly can. And there's some really scary driving going on. Truck lights. What is this, Dina? It looks as though somebody's been hit.
Yeah, it's like a tanker or government convoy has been hit.
Something's been hit. We don't know what it is, but there's a lot of black smoke and there's a police car or something coming down with its lights on. Get them out of the car. Close, but we need to get out of the car. Bloody hell. Hello. Right. When you're being fired on, you do not stay in a car. Somebody should tell that to our driver. Well, I'm speechless. I'm not sure who was firing on who there. The
Police were, I think, the target.
The police. It's okay. These people are amazing. They just smile and carry on.
He says the Taliban, one of the Taliban were there just in the room, we hidden behind it, and he said, who are they? And he told the Taliban guy that they are here for filming for the Taliban and filming the situation, how the Taliban are strong. And they said, then let them go, because the area will be getting dangerous. And he said, yeah, you would be safe on the way.
So we stopped at where the Taliban was shooting and went straight into the arms of the Taliban. I don't believe it. That's a bit of excitement for today. Gosh, my mother's going to go ballistic when she watches this. We arrive at Ghazni Police Headquarters, the scene of the Dr. Aafia Siddiqui drama. There are US soldiers and private security guards hanging around, but to our amazement, we are allowed into the very cell where she was shot. Right, so she was behind this curtain.
Oh, yeah, this is. So the bullets went through heads there. And there are other places where the bullets hit.
The Afghan who came from the Interior Ministry, they told me the story when we went inside the room. One American put the gun on the floor and he sit down. And all of us, we sit down. And he put the gun on the floor. She attacked the gun and took the gun and make a fire. And there was another soldier of ISAF troop. He shot her.
The governor was indeed cordial, very hospitable, and gave a crisp account of the drama, almost line for line with that of the US military. But not everyone shared his view or recollections. Can he point to the bullets fired by Aafia when Aafia Siddiqui had the gun? Which bullets are hers?
دروازه کې ولاړ وم صحیح ده نه دلته دوه پوچکه پراته و دي مرمۍ یو دلته لګېدلی و یو په دې ځای کې په دغه ځای کې پوه شوې نور ښځې سلا ته لاس اچولی و مونږ ته فکر نه کوم چې هغه فیر کړی
So all these bullets are from the American forces.
دا چې مرمۍ دي دا هغه دي چې په مقابل کې امریکایي ځواکونه استعمال کړي
بیا دا راغی ماته ویل چې په دې حالت کې موږ ناست یو ویل دوستان رال قوه ائتلافیات دوی غواړي چې دې ښځې سره وګوري اجازه ورکوئ که نه دوی تقریبا 12-14 نفر وو ما درته ویل چې راځي دي نو هغه ایتان هم ناست وو جنرال ته مې ویل چې دې خلکو ته یې وایي راځي ده چې را داخل شو خبره پکې تېره نه وه پرده کش وه دا یو نفر ته دی پردې شاته تېر شو دې دا چې شاته تېر شو بس نور نیم پېښه انډیواله پیر وشو چې پیر وشو زه هر سړي اوس منډه کوله ما د کوچ نه ځان وارته و
What did you think about her state when you saw her? Did she look as though she was drunk or drugged or intoxicated, or did she seem very lucid?
No, I don't think that there were some other things, and she didn't look like to be abnormal, or she had drink, or she is this. And the same time she was...
And she looked like that when you saw her, because that isn't normal.
I don't know why she looks like this. She had lost her weight. She didn't sleep very well in the past few weeks. or she didn't get good food. I don't know about this.
So she didn't look normal.
I don't know.
چې یا فرضاً مواد مخدر استعمال دي صحیح ده یا نظارت لاندې وه د شکنجې لاندې وه یا مواد مخدر استعمالول او یا ښه کلکه د نظارت لاندې وه په هر ځای کې چې وه که په باګرام کې وه او که په امریکا کې وه.
Were you surprised when she emerged in New York facing charges for an alleged crime that had been committed in your district?
No, that's the crime is crime, and the justice is justice.
But the crime was committed in Afghanistan. She is Pakistan, and now she is being tried in New York.
And I don't know exactly, and I didn't concerning about these things too much, and that's good anyway. The bad people should go to the court.
In your country, when a crime has been committed
to the justice.
Yes, but you don't expect someone.
I think she's almost a shared target between Afghanistan government and ISAF troop.
So the American shooting brought an end to your investigation because you felt you would have got further.
وکنه دغه معامله چې پیدا شو کنه موږ خپل قصې ته اغستې ډیر مسایل به ته اغستې خبره مې پات شو وزلته اشتباه ده مخکې چې تا خبره وکړه ما درته ویل چې موږ یو په خپل حال نیو صحیح ده کنه دلته اوس موږ په دغه باندې اشتباه کوو چې دا څنګه زموږ د لاسه دی په یو ډزه باندې دا لاړه کنه زموږ د لاسه واغسته.
It is now clear to me that Aafia Siddiqui only survived the shooting because Afghan police insisted on immediate hospital treatment. If anything, the trip to Ghazni has opened more questions and the mystery deepens. Could it be that the Americans had planted her in Ghazni and set her up to be killed? Was she prisoner 650? The more I thought about it, the wilder my speculations became. But who would want her killed and why? None of it made sense. All I do know is that the official US account of what happened that day in July 2008 does not entirely stand up. The US military's media department is still refusing to give me access to Bagram and are insistent that there are no women or children there. I'm pointed in the direction of Afghanistan's Reconciliation Commission, which acts as a bridge between Guantanamo and Bagram to resettle Afghan detainees into their communities. How many ex-detainees have come through the doors of your commission?
تر اوسه پورې د کمیسیون صلح د تلاش په نتیجه کې 200 نفر محبوسین د ګوانتانامو باګرام او پلجاخیل جیل څخه راخوشي شوي دي. محمد خان he is Kuchi dite Kuchi
Kuchi,
yes,
a nomad.
Nomad.
And how old is he?
He is 17-year-old.
Do you know how many children are being held in Bagram?
10% in the Bagram.
The Americans have admitted to carrying out waterboarding, kidnapping, putting people on rendition flights. Does this surprise you?
دغه محبوسین چې د ګوانتانامو او د باګرام له جیل څخه خلاصېږي دا تقریبا دوی ډېر شکایتونه لري. اکثرا دوی دا شکایتونه لري چې دوی بېخوبه سوي دي. اکثرا دوی دا شکایتونه لري چې په اول وختو کې دوی ته ډېر شکنجې وکړل سوي دي. اما موږ په هغه ارتباط باندې بیا له امریکایانو سره وختاً په وختاً باندې تماس ونیول او د تماس په نتیجه کې هغوی د موږ خبرو ته غوږ ونیولل. اوس چې کوم محبوسین له باګرامو او ګوانتانامو څخه راخوشي کېږي هغوی دا حکایت کوي چې په موږ باندې فشار کم شوی ده.
Despite the vast information available to him, Mohammed Akram could not shed any light on prisoner 650 because his official remit only covers Afghan nationals and not foreign prisoners. So the only thing I could establish was that she was not an Afghan.
Pakistan and Iran woman is not belongs to me, to our office. We work about the Afghan women and men. Yes.
There was only one route left open to me now in my quest for the truth, and that was the road to Bagram. I wasn't hopeful. Lieutenant Colonel Rumi Nielsen Green, running the US media desk there, had made it clear that I would not be welcome, but maybe there would be a change of heart if I rolled up at the gate in person. We headed out of Kabul nearly an hour ago and have driven through the Shamali plains, heading towards Bagram. And we're approaching Bagram with a little bit of trepidation. The Americans are a law unto themselves in this country, and I have sent them a series of questions asking them about female enemy combatants, about child prisoners, and they were very touchy on the subject. I've said it's better if we sit down and talk. They said it's better if they send me an email by response, so we'll have to wait and see. My name's Yvonne Ridley. I work for Press TV.
I know this is the media. Yeah.
I suppose the reception myself and filmmaker Hassan al-Banagani received when we arrived was predictable. We weren't welcome, and dozens of armed Afghan guards protecting the US base made this fairly clear.
Ban.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Lots of Afghans, but not an American in sight. Eventually, a US soldier did come out to tell us face to face the media team had nothing to say. Here we are outside one of the world's most notorious prisons, Bagram. We can't film that way. The Americans are very sensitive about the whole issue. Does this mean I've come to the end of my search for prisoner 650? I really don't know. The more I'm digging, the less I begin to know. Was this a place where Dr. Aafia Siddiqui was held for 5 years? Is prisoner 650 still in there? Unfortunately, it all stops here. This is as far as we're allowed to go in our search for prisoner 650. I walked away from Bagram with a heavy heart. There appeared to be no desire for any sort of transparency. A legacy which will define the dark years of the Bush War on Terror. It just begs the question, what have they got to hide? The awful thing is, prisoner 650 could be just behind those gates. We'll not know. In today's show, we have a world exclusive as one of the most famous US torture victims and detainees speaks publicly for the first time on TV since his release from Guantanamo, and he has chosen today's agenda to break his silence because of the emotive subject of the women who have been arrested and detained in the war on terror. Be prepared to be shocked. Well, one man who has recently left Guantanamo and is said by some to personify the ambiguous dark side of the Bush war on terror is Binyam Mohammed, who was released a few weeks ago after 7 years in US custody, during which time he was routinely tortured in dungeons in Morocco, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Guantanamo. It has only just emerged that US military authorities tried to persuade Binyam to sign a statement saying he had never been tortured in return for his release. He was also told by them to plead guilty to terrorist offences that he did not commit, drop his demand to see documentary evidence showing he was telling the truth, and promise not to speak to the media or sue the US or UK for any wrongdoing. The terms of the attempted plea bargain were kept secret until now, revealed by Lord Justice Thomas and Mr Justice Lloyd Jones a few days ago. In the wake of Binyam's release, the British High Court papers show that the US government made it clear it would seek a minimum 30-year jail sentence if Binyam was found guilty by a military court. If he was acquitted, he was still to be detained as an enemy combatant. Binyam is obviously a man who saw many things during his 7-year detention, and despite the best efforts of the British and US governments, he is now free to speak for himself. This is what he had to say in his first ever TV interview about Press TV's documentary about my search for Prisoner 650. Respecting his request for privacy until he fully readjusts to being a free man, we agreed to conduct the interview in a darkened studio to protect his anonymity.